On the morning of May 12, 1986, students at the Oregon Episcopal School in Portland stirred awake with a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. They were about to set off on a journey unlike any other, a challenging expedition to the lower reaches of Mount Hood, the massive volcanic peak rising an hour and a half from the city. For months, these students had trained for this very moment as part of the school's base camp program, an outdoor adventure initiative that aimed to build resilience, teamwork, and survival skills. Yet, none of them could foresee how drastically their lives would change over the next few days. The base camp program at the Oregon Episcopal School was a hallmark of its educational approach. Every student was required to participate, and the curriculum emphasized practical outdoor skills, navigating difficult terrain, reading weather patterns, and responding to emergencies. More than that, it was designed to instill self-confidence and foster a sense of personal responsibility, along with the ability to function as part of a cooperative team. Mount Hood, with its steep slopes, icy patches, and hidden dangers, was chosen as the site of the 1986 expedition because it presented the right blend of challenge and educational opportunity. Preparation had been extensive. The students had attended months of workshops and training sessions covering first aid, rope handling, and ice climbing techniques. They were taught how to recognize the early signs of hypothermia, how to navigate through fog and snow, and how to support each other under extreme conditions. Leading the expedition was Father Thomas Geeman, a 42-year-old teacher beloved by his students for his intellect and approachable demeanor. He had overseen several base camp trips in previous years, earning a reputation for both competence and care. Accompanying him were 5 adults: the school's Dean of Students, Sharon Spray, Marion Horwell, another chaperone, and 2 professional guides, Dee Seduniak and Ralph Summers. Together, this team was tasked with supervising 15 teenagers, aged between 15 and 17, as they attempted the climb. The journey began in the early pre-dawn hours. Students climbed aboard a standard school bus and set out for Timberline Lodge, a lodge and ski resort nestled on the mountain's lower slopes. The lodge itself was a landmark, instantly recognizable for its appearance in the classic horror film The Shining. Once there, the students were given additional gear, including helmets and ice axes, before venturing into the snow. The air was crisp, the sky still dark, and the mountain loomed above them, both inviting and intimidating. At the outset, the climb was relatively manageable. Cold but tolerable weather allowed the students to make steady progress. Spirits were high, laughter echoed across the slopes, and the rhythm of the group's steps kept energy levels up. One exception was 15-year-old Hillary Spray, who began the day feeling queasy. Her confidence faltered as the ascent continued, and she grew increasingly uncertain of her ability to finish the climb. Despite reassurance from Father Geeman and her peers, Hillary made the difficult decision to turn back, accompanied by her mother, Sharon, who had been helping chaperone the group. The climb continued, and the group reached the Silox Hut, a modest shelter for climbers seeking temporary refuge from the mountain's elements. It was here that 16-year-old Lorcas Matana began to struggle. Cramps and fatigue made it unsafe for her to continue. Courtney Boatsman, a fellow student, volunteered to escort Lorca back to Timberline, and the 2 descended together. Soon after, 2 additional students, also questioning their ability to complete the climb, chose to retreat. Even the Seduniak, one of the professional guides, we began to experience mild snow blindness from the glare reflecting off the white snow, though not severe. Continuing under these conditions was deemed unwise, and she also returned to the lodge. At this point, 13 climbers remained. They pressed on, climbing higher, but the mountain began to reveal its perilous nature. Snow began to fall steadily, visibility decreased, and cold winds intensified. Although Father Geeman had often turned back during previous expeditions when faced with adverse weather, on this occasion he chose to push forward, likely confident in the group's preparation and ability to reach the summit by 2 p.m. Conditions had deteriorated sharply. Thick clouds and heavy snowfall made it nearly impossible to see the path ahead, prompting Ralph Summers, the other guide, to insist that the group reverse course. Eventually, Father Geeman consented, and the party began the descent. However, the worsening weather had already made navigation treacherous. Visibility was severely limited, and the trail was almost indistinguishable beneath the fresh snow. Unknowingly, the group veered off the intended path, moving laterally around the mountain instead of downward. Among the group, 15-year-old Patrick McInnes was particularly vulnerable. His smaller frame left him more exposed to the cold, and he soon exhibited signs of severe hypothermia, shivering uncontrollably, stumbling, and becoming incoherent. The group immediately put their training into action. Patrick was wrapped in the single sleeping bag available, with fellow student Susan McClave climbing in alongside him, sacrificing her own warmth to aid his recovery. After roughly an hour, Patrick regained enough strength to continue. Though the group as a whole was now fatigued, chilled, and anxious, realizing the increasing danger, the climbers decided to stop and construct a snow cave for shelter. Father Geeman and Ralph Summers began digging using the only shovel on hand. While snow caves can offer solid insulation, the one they managed to create was far from ideal. Overcrowding caused the walls to melt, forming icy water on the floor, and constant snowfall threatened to seal the entrance, necessitating someone remain outside to prevent suffocation. The cave, initially intended as a temporary refuge, would become their home for several days as they waited for rescue. Meanwhile, search and rescue operations had begun. Emergency teams struggled against the blizzard-like conditions, unable to fly helicopters and hampered by deep snow and strong winds. Even specialized snow-traversing vehicles faced difficulties, with one overturning due to the extreme weather. Despite these challenges, rescuers pressed on, determined to locate the stranded climbers. The first night in the snow cave was brutal, crowded and damp, with minimal protection from the storm outside. The group endured freezing temperatures and exhaustion. Ralph Summers, recognizing that waiting could cost lives, decided to venture out with the brave student Molly Schuler. The two navigated the storm and, by chance, encountered the Mount Hood Meadows ski resort. Ralph quickly organized a coordinated search, guiding helicopter crews to the approximate location of the snow cave. Despite Ralph Summers' guidance, the remainder of the students remained trapped in the snow cave. Three of them, 15-year-old Allison Leitenberger, 16-year-old Aaron Oyer, and 15-year-old Eric Sandvik, ventured out in a desperate attempt to find help. They kicked through the rapidly accumulating snow at the cave's entrance, hoping to reach safety. Unfortunately, the snow closed behind them, preventing re-entry. Exhausted and exposed to the relentless cold, all three succumbed to hypothermia within a short distance from the cave. Their bodies were eventually discovered and airlifted back to Timberline Lodge, a grim signal of the peril faced by those still inside. Inside the cave, conditions deteriorated further. The remaining students, now facing freezing temperatures, cramped quarters, and water seeping through the snow walls, had to rely on one another for warmth and support. Hypothermia and exhaustion became increasingly severe. Each breath they took fogged in the cold. The silence punctuated only by the wind's howl outside and the occasional creak of the icy walls. Their survival depended not only on shelter but on their ability to maintain morale, ration energy, and apply the skills learned during base camp. Search efforts continued in parallel. Despite the storm and difficult terrain, helicopters were deployed as soon as visibility allowed, and ground teams combed the slopes with long poles to probe the snow for hidden crevasses or signs of the missing climbers. Master Sergeant Richard Harder, a veteran of mountain rescue operations, took charge of a ground team, known among his peers for a sardonic sense of humor and a less-than-perfect record in prior rescues. He earned the nickname Bagger. Yet on this occasion his instincts proved invaluable. Spotting a possible location for the snow cave, he guided a team through deep snow and freezing winds. Just 20 minutes before the day's search would have been suspended, the team located the climbers. Rescue teams extracted the survivors from the snow cave and transported them via helicopter to nearby hospitals. Medical staff worked tirelessly to stabilize their condition, but tragically, only 2 students survived without permanent harm. 16-year-old Brenton Clark made a full recovery, while 16-year-old Giles Thompson survived but required amputation of both lower legs due to severe frostbite. The remainder, including 15-year-old Tasha Amy, 16-year-old Richard Herr Jr., 17-year-old Susan Mc, and 15-year-old Patrick McInnes, perished either in the cave or shortly after evacuation. Tragically, Father Thomas Geeman and chaperone Marion Horwell also did not survive. In the aftermath, investigators sought to understand the cascade of errors that led to this unprecedented tragedy. Foremost among these was the decision by Father Geeman not to turn back sooner. Experienced and well-trained in mountain safety, he had previously aborted climbs under adverse conditions. On this occasion, despite worsening weather, he pressed forward a choice deemed by the inquest to be a critical misjudgment. Investigators also noted equipment limitations, including insufficient sleeping bags, a single shovel, and lack of snow-specific gear such as cramp, which could have mitigated the severity of the situation. Civil and legal repercussions followed. Families of the deceased filed claims against the school, and settlements were paid to help compensate for the loss and grief endured. The final cases were resolved by 1988, marking the end of formal legal proceedings. But the emotional impact endured far longer. The Oregon Episcopal School, though committed to outdoor education, reevaluated safety protocols and risk management, ensuring that future base camp expeditions would be better equipped and more rigorously monitored. The story of the Mount Hood tragedy became a somber touchstone for outdoor education programs across the country. Every year, the school holds a memorial service to honor those who were lost, reinforcing lessons about preparation, respect for nature's power, and the limits of human endurance. Teachers and students alike reflect on the fine balance between adventure and safety, understanding that the lessons of resilience and teamwork carry weight not only in the classroom but in life or death scenarios. The Mount Hood climb remains a stark reminder of the unpredictable hazards inherent in wilderness expeditions. It underscores the importance of heeding weather warnings, respecting the limits of human capability, and ensuring that groups are adequately prepared for every eventuality. While base camp aimed to cultivate confidence and skill, This tragedy highlighted how even the best prepared students and leaders can face unforeseen dangers. It left a lasting imprint on the school community, shaping policies and attitudes toward outdoor adventure for generations to come. Psychologically, the impact was profound. Survivors and families of victims experienced grief and trauma. Navigating the aftermath of events that unfolded so suddenly and violently, the school provided counseling and support, aiming to help students process the emotional weight of the disaster. For many, the experience reinforced the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of outdoor pursuits, transforming how they approached challenges both on the mountain and beyond. In addition to personal and institutional lessons, the Mount Hood event influenced broader discussions about safety standards for youth expeditions nationwide. Recommendations included mandatory equipment checks, multiple shelters for larger groups, constant monitoring of weather forecasts, and strict guidelines for when to abort climbs. Emergency protocols were revised, emphasizing early decision-making and minimizing exposure to extreme conditions. The tragedy of 1986 became a case study in the necessity of prudence, preparedness, and respect for nature's uncontrollable elements. Even decades later, the names of the students and adults lost on Mount Hood are remembered with reverence. Memorial plaques, annual remembrance ceremonies, and ongoing storytelling ensure that their experiences are not forgotten. Each year, the base camp program incorporates these lessons into its curriculum, blending adventure with a sobering awareness of risk. In doing so, the school honors the memories of those lost, ensuring that the tragedy serves not only as a cautionary tale but also as a testament to the courage and determination of the students who faced Mount Hood's formidable slopes. The Mount Hood disaster also reshaped public perception of outdoor education. Once viewed as an unequivocal benefit to youth development, adventure programs now carry a more nuanced reputation, balancing the thrill of exploration with safety and accountability. Training standards, risk assessment protocols, and emergency response planning were strengthened across similar programs, emphasizing that preparation and prudence are as essential as enthusiasm and courage. Ultimately, the story of May 1986 is one of both tragedy and endurance. While the loss of so many young lives and dedicated adults is an irreplaceable sorrow, the lessons learned have left a lasting imprint. The surviving students and the school community carry forward not only grief but also a renewed commitment to safety, preparedness, and the careful fostering of resilience in young adventurers. Mount Hood slopes remain a symbol of challenge, beauty, and the unpredictable power of nature, a reminder that the pursuit of growth through adventure must always be tempered by respect for the elements and for life itself. The legacy of this event continues to resonate. Each year, students at the Oregon Episcopal School are reminded that courage is not just in reaching the summit but in making the right decisions along the way. The stories of the climbers, chaperones, and rescuers serve as enduring lessons in judgment, empathy, and the balance between ambition and caution. While the mountain claimed many lives in 1986, it also left behind a profound narrative of human tenacity, the limits of preparation, and the eternal value of remembrance.